Hello everyone, let's now look at functions. So what is functions? Functions help you store code and then you can use that code later. So let me show you an example. I'm going to add more prints. So this can be any other code. It doesn't have to be print. And let's say I wanted to use this code now more again. So I'm using it here and I'm using it now again. And make sure you have output open. So now here we have our hello worlds. But there's now a lot of code we have here, so let's now only put this in a function. So how I would do that is I would delete these and then I will create the function. So you create a function by using the function keyword and then the name of the variable. So I'm going to call mine print a lot and then left and right parentheses and this end keyword. So this end can also be in one line, but inside here is where we're going to add the code. So think of this as a block. So let's add this code inside there. And there we have created a function. But nothing will actually happen now. So let me show you. If I run this, nothing's showed in the output. Something did happen. It created a function, but I didn't use it. So I'm going to add there this created function. So how do I actually use this function? Well, I'll have to get this name, print a lot, and use a left and right parentheses. So when you use a left and right parentheses, you're saying I want to call this function, calling the function, and that's in a sense using it. So when I test this now, you see I've used it. So now I can use it again and again, and now basically we did the same thing before, we just did it better in my opinion. We stored it and it's less code, less to read. We actually named this thing. So what happens here actually? So let's test this. So here we have a lot of hello worlds. So let's see let's go through it. So line 1, we're creating a comment. It will be ignored. Line 2, we're starting to create a function. So we only created it, we haven't actually used it. And then line 8, nothing happens. Line 9, we're saying call this function, and we know we're calling it because we added left and right parentheses. If you don't add it, you're not calling the function. It's just, you can even store this in a variable though. So and then line 10, okay, so when you come here, it runs this code here inside. So it goes, think of it as going inside, and then this line, this one, and then it comes out. And then it goes to the next one, it goes in the function, this one, and then print, that print, it comes out, and it goes to the last function we're calling, and it goes in until it reaches the end. Let me also add a comment here saying calling functions. Okay, so when you call your functions before you create them, so for example here, we'll get an error. And when we click on this line, we can see, and the error tells us attempt to call a null value. That's because print a lot hasn't been created. Okay, now let's move this function back below. Now let's say you want to pass something through the function, like we've learned before, the types. So how you would do that is, so we'll delete this, you would have to create parameters and arguments. So how you create parameters is you go into your function where you create it, then you add a, let's see it as a variable, so we'll call it parameter 1. I'm going to delete these 2 lines, and this line also. What I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate it together to the world and then print it out. So now I've created my parameter. So I haven't actually used it, so to replace it we'll have to add an argument when we're calling the function. So here I can add a string and say hola and then close the string. Now this parameter will become the hola string, and here we're combining it or concatenating it to this world string and printing it out. So let me show you this. So here we have hola world. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more. So I can add more and then change this to hey, and then change this to what's up. And also I'm just going to add more prints here, why not? And then parameters will be added again here, will be used again. So let's run this. Now you see here we have hello, hola world, hey world, and the what's up world one. So remember this, parameters is when you create the function, and arguments you add inside is when you call the function, and the arguments must be types of values. So we can add more arguments. So I'm going to delete these two, or parameters. I'm just going to delete this line. So I can add another parameter. I'm just going to call it a different name, world, or let's make it name. And then I'm going to concatenate it here to this string here. So now I'm going to say hola and then comma. Let's call it John. Yeah, John. I want to say Jorge, but I don't know how to spell that. And then we're going to say print hey, let's call it, make it Jack. So now what will happen is the name will become, when it comes here, name will become John, and when it comes to this line and it goes inside the function, name will become Jack. So basically the second one. So when we test this, I didn't stop it. So if you see this, just say yes, so you don't lose your progress. And now when I test this, you see the function was created. I'm calling this the first argument hola, so the parameter becomes hola, and the name becomes John, and then I go out of the function, then I go to the next one, hey becomes, parameter 1 becomes hey, name becomes Jack. Okay, so what happens if you don't add a second argument, but you've added a parameter? So I'm just gonna comment this line of code out with 2 hyphens. So let me show you this. So I'm gonna print out parameter, and I'm also gonna print out name. So what will happen is name will become null. If you don't add the argument inside this, it will become null. So if I can also delete both inside. So when we test this, so I have an error here. Okay, so you see I made a mistake here, and when you see error you can click on it and you can just fix it. In this case you can't have single quotes. Let's test again. So you see we have 4 nulls. That's because this print ran and we didn't add anything inside. This becomes null. Name becomes null. And remember, null is a type. So we're printing it out and then we're printing the null again and it's still null. So that's why we have 4 nulls. Let's stop this. So you can add more parameters. And you say comma parameters 3. But the more parameters you add, the more stuff there is you have to look at. So try to keep it less parameters. Now let's look at another example. Let's delete this. So here I have a variable, my numbers, and it is a number value 0. And I create a function add numbers. So what I'm just doing, so notice that my numbers is before the function. So we've reassigned it to the argument that's going to be passed here, or the parameters now, but now we're going to pass the arguments. So we're going to say add numbers, and I'm going to say number 2 and 5, and then we can print this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print before and after. So what will happen, this will be null, or 0 I mean, and then we're going to add 2 to 5, and then we're going to come here and set my numbers to 2 plus 5, and then we'll print out my numbers again, and in that case it will be 5 or 7. 2 plus 5 is 7. So let's delete everything. Now notice how print is a function, because notice how we have a left and a right parentheses, and we notice we can pass arguments like a string. We can pass a number, just like we can do with our variables, our functions we created. And although you didn't see the code of print because it's a built-in function, we know that print is a function. And also let's look at another function, wait. So this is also a built-in function, and the argument you can pass is a number. So this will be how long the program is going to wait on this line example. So if we say print hello and 2, and now we're going to print hey and 5. So what's going to happen is going to come line 1, print, and then it's going to wait 5 seconds before it continues to this line. So see here we came and it's hello 2, we're waiting 5 seconds, and now we have the other print. Okay, so let's delete these lines. Now we're going to look at return. Okay, so here we have an example of using return. So with return you can return types of values. So you can return a number, a string. In this case we're returning a number. So now we can store this number inside a variable. So we can use the function like so. So now what will happen there is it will call this function, and this function will return, and in this case this 3.1, and when we print it out, here we have 3.1, we've returned this number. Okay, so what would happen if I delete this and do like this? So this then will be null. As you can see here, pi is null. Now what would happen if, well, let's stop this. What would happen if we we create a local function inside a function, and then we return a string, and then we return the function we called there. So let me go through this. So here we're creating a function called getPyNumber, and inside we created another function which is local to this function. What is a local function? We're returning the out string, and then here we're actually returning this function we called. So when it comes inside here, it will go into this function and then return the string. So this one will become that, and it will come out, and when it came out, that's what it returns, this out. Now, so here we're actually saying this pi is equal to what this function returned, and then we're doing what I've mentioned here happening. So then pi will be out. As you can see here, we have out. Okay, so with everything we learned, let's now create something. So here I have some variables. I have chickens, my cows, sheeps, and this is my farm. Let's say it's my farm. I'm going to close this output, and now I'm going to create some functions. So here I have some functions. I have sell chicken. All it does is it takes my chicken at the top and it reassigns it to chicken -1. So we're selling a chicken, and we're printing also out sold a chicken. We're doing same for cows, same for sheep, and here we're just getting the total of all these numbers, these variables combined. Okay, let's zoom a bit out. Now what I want to do is I'm gonna add these lines. Okay, so what is happening here? Here we're just using the wait function. We're gonna stop here in this line, wait 5 seconds. Gonna come here, we're gonna print this string here, starting animal farm. And then we're creating a variable, a local variable, total animals. When we're calling get total animals functions, so it will come in this function, it will return chickens plus cows plus sheep, and at the moment chickens is 30, cows 10, and sheep is 20. Now we're going to print out this string, and the second argument we're going to print out this local variable total animals. Then we're going to wait 2 seconds on this line. We're going to go into cell cow function, we're calling this. So cell cow is, we have it at the top here, and it's going to come inside. We're going to reassign cows equal to cows minus 1. So cow was 10, so 10 minus 1, it will be 9, and then we're going to print out solve the cow function. So coming down here, we're going to wait 2 seconds, and then we're going to run cell sheep, call this function, we're going to wait 2 seconds and call the other functions here. And then we're going to wait 2 seconds again, and now we're going to print the total again. So the total will be different because we've deducted, we sold chickens and sold animals. So let's test this. Open up the output and we're waiting. Starting animal farm, total animal 60. Sold the cow, sold the sheep, sold a chicken, well 3 chickens. Total animals is 55 because we sold 1, 2 plus 3. No, sorry, that's 55. And that's it for this tutorial.